aggressive early, that's good. It does mean that they trade vision on the bottom side of the map, Fish. And we'll see whether this just ends up in standard lanes, because we did see lane swaps coming out of the Gigabyte Marines previously.
I love any time people do interesting things at level 1. I hate the standard 5 people fan out and you just do nothing. When you come in, get that early vision, it means that you do want to know where the enemy jungler is and you do want to try and get your jungler active before him.
Gigabyte Marines, they want to get early access to Schoenfire, find out where he is. Look at all the deep wards being placed down by Direwolves.
They're lane swap wards. Straight away, when you have a look at that, when you have wards on the way to lane, you have to expect that that is going to be someone trying to get funny with a lane swap. And that's what we saw a little bit at the MSI tournament. And now we see that the Direwolves are prepared for it.
Yeah, very respectful towards Gigabyte Marines. Both junglers, though, starting on opposite sides of buffs. Levi will pick up red buff first, move straight towards Raptors. Schoenfire got a little bit of a leash over on his blue buff. So we'll have to see how the jungle progresses between these two teams.
It was an interesting choice by Gigabyte to only leash the red with their bot lane. We've seen teams start to leash both Raptors and red and just have their support tank it. And I think that might have been better for them here.
You can see in top lane already, Chippy's trading aggressively against Archie. This is a lane to watch out for because Archie, he's historically been a great top laner in Vietnam, but he's been moved to support for Gigabyte Marines for the longest time now. And I don't even think he's played top lane in the regular split so far.
Oh, that's a great hook. All of a sudden, King in trouble.
Oh, there's so many spears being placed in towards King. Good exhaust being placed down by the Direwolves. They still continue to chase towards the AD carry from Gigabyte Marines. It's actually a decent trade from the Wolves.
Yeah, that was a surprisingly good trade by them.
No.
Meanwhile, there's still fight inside the jungle. Levi and Schoenfire. We expected these two to go toe-to-toe, and they already at it so early into the game. Levi losing this matchup to kick things off. No summoner spells burnt by either jungler, but Schoenfire now going to have access into the Gigabyte Marines jungle.
And this is the reason that people were really excited about Rek'Sai coming back into the meta. I'll touch on the build in a little bit, but all of a sudden, with the ability to have CC at only level 3, with good skirmishing potential, true damage, all the things that just make Rek'Sai potent, as well as the fact that she jungles incredibly quickly. You could see that Levi caught unawares there, and Shern just with some good pathing, being nice and aggressive.
I want to touch back on the bot lane because of what happened to King there. I was expecting them to blow heal, if not flash, due to how Gigabyte played that, but they got away with it with just exhaust and trading a huge amount of damage back on Kalista. That's really important and really good by Direwolves, showing that even when caught unexpectedly, they're able to turn it around.
Yeah, and I guess the big thing here is we take a look at No Way just going for a couple of deep wards there, trying to pop the blast cone over the wall, so Shern can't go for any cheeky ganks. You expect level 1 to be very difficult when you have a Tahm Kench. After that, when you get level 2 and level 3, it starts to become a pretty simple lane to execute. So the fact that the punish wasn't enormous, I mean, it's still a good trade coming out of the Gigabyte Marines, is certainly good as this lane will progress.
Yeah, and now you can see King just plays without a care in the world about the Thresh because he knows he's got that safety net in Tahm Kench to just survive through anything.
However, at the moment, Levi is close towards the bottom side of the map, looking to try and take down this Rift Scuttle. Has not been spotted out by the roaming ward.
That is a dark river.
That is Kallista's, not the Direwolves, and it is a very dark river, which suddenly I thought Nocturne was in this game for a moment. He's not.
Big interesting point, however, is top lane is down 11 CS and bottom lane is starting to fall down pretty massively. This is what we spoke about. Teams like the Direwolves locally like to be able to dominate lanes. However, that is not going to happen against a team like the Gigabyte Marines, who have got such solid players in every role. You're going to have to fight for every piece of CS, and it's becoming incredibly difficult to do so.
While he's down that CS in the top lane, he's also already got a recall in and got back to lane without burning his teleport. So that's why he lost a bit of CS. He was also holding a huge wave there. So even though he is down a little bit, he's mitigating that and trying to sort of snowball this into an early lead where he can start winning in CS, or at the very least try and force out the Gragas' teleport to neutralize any dive threat down on the opposite side of the map.
And Archie's doing just fine up in the top lane at the moment, going toe-to-toe against Chippies in this role that he was previously very comfortable with.
Oh, he goes back and grabs 3 rings as well. That's a big shot. He's going to actually burn it towards the lane. So he's got the experience advantage, he's got the shot advantage, and he said it was good for Chippies to get a quick recall in. I actually think now he has to burn his teleport, because if he wants to fight at level 6, as Fiora's like to do, he is so much gold behind just through a shop that he's not going to be able to.
Well, it's a choice from Direwolves then, isn't it? Fiora might not be the greatest in TPing to a side lane to help out with a gank, but it's still a possibility, bringing her in below the bot lane and trying to get an advantage there. So you have to really ask, where do they place their pressure? Do they get him to recall, get the items to brawl the Gragas, or do they keep him in the lane and try and get advantages elsewhere?
I think a lot of it's going to come down to whether Shern's gank actually works here or whether Levi can counter. The level 6 has been attained by Archie. You can see they both want it because the junglers are there, and this is going to be so interesting, Fish.
A lot of minions right by Archie's side. He's more than happy to go right back in, but you see he throws the ultimate out. Shernfire is able to get into the tunnel in time, gets knocked back towards the safety of the direwall side of the map.
And you can actually see that Levi comes in, he does the right thing. No gank to be had, but he can make the wave, hit the turret, put pressure on Chippies to stick around. That'll give another free shot over to the top laner of the Gigabyte Marines. So really nice play out of the direwalls. Is read like a book out of GAM's jungler.
I'm surprised that Chippy stayed there. He could have easily recalled and teleported back in before that wave crashed. So you have to think, he's trying to save that TP to go to other lanes. I don't think you will see him recall and TP back after clearing that.
I just don't know if they have the CC set up in other lanes unless Shern really gets in behind. I mean, if you're ganking a Tahm Kench lane against what's going to be a level 6 Kalista Thresh, you're not really going to get all that much.
Yep.
Mid lane is just not the best lane for a TP gank regardless. So I think that it is a little bit confusing that he's holding it for this long. I think that you should play towards your lane if you're a Fiora. And he's certainly not doing that so far.
Yep, this is a difficult lane to gank because as soon as one is behind the other, both of them have ways to pull other champions out and back into safety. As you can see here, Gigabyte Marines are still pushing very heavily in the bottom lane. Both AD carries have burnt through their potions, however both supports still holding on to a couple of biscuits themselves. Shernfire though, he's been really good in the jungle so far, was able to go toe-to-toe against Levi, knock him out of his own jungle, take some camps away, and is farming just fine.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now level 6, of course, used to not be all that important on Rek'Sai apart from the farm alarm. Now big damage ultimate comes out. That's why we see the warrior enchant. We've seen a little bit more of Cinderhulk into damage items early on the live server, but warrior certainly still adds a little bit as, you know, just get a little bit of a pinwheel action there.
Just loading the games real quickly here, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, we are having some technical difficulties, but with that, we can get those resolved as soon as possible. We will. Meanwhile, on the top side of that, you can see Chippy's using his ultimate quite early against Archie there. His teleport is still not back up. In fact, both of them blowing their flash on the top side of the map.
I would say that's a net win for Chippies. Anytime you can force the opposing, especially a tank, out of lane and sort of make him worry about what's going on, it's a pretty big thing, especially now that he doesn't have TP, now that he doesn't have flash. Expect to see Shernfire back up there to try and keep snowballing, get the Fiora further and further ahead.
Yeah, and the other big thing is Chippy's gone for early sustain. He's already got a blade. He's got himself a corrupting potion as well as that vampiric scepter. However, on the side of Archie, he's got the passive to help out a little bit for sustain, but not all that much else. And you can see that that brings Levi up again. We'll see whether this time it's for a gank, which will be spotted out by a ward, or whether it's just going to be to shove this lane into turret and give some relief over again to Archie.
It seems like he was recalling back to base. Let's see if he does move into the third brush top side of the map. Seems like he's not just going to head back to base, give Archie some time to recall as well, or stay if he chooses to. Chippy's still farming underneath turret at the moment. Does have that Fam Scepter, as we've mentioned, to keep himself topped up and sustained, but maybe just not enough damage to take down Gragas without his ultimate.
We saw the same play from Levi before when Shernfire actually did gank top lane. Perhaps he was just up there expecting Shern to be ganking again.
Yeah, it certainly is a good point. Shern's been pretty aggressive in his pathing so far. This time, however, first time he's been towards bottom side, it is going to be to pick up an early Cloud Drake. Cloud Drake and movement speed is starting to see a little bit more popularity as we take a trip the scenic route into bottom lane.
Just finally catching up with the direwalls, finally shoving out against the bottom lane from Gigabyte Marines. And remember, they're playing with their substitute support. Usually, it'll be No Way and Archie paired up in this bottom lane. But again, they seem very comfortable against the #1 seed from Oceania.
Yeah, they certainly do. In fact, Osa's only just got a 300 gold advantage. We thought that Levi would be a little bit more busy in this early game. However, at the same time, I think it's very important to note that Shern's jungle pathing has been quite good on the Rek'Sai, who is quite strong in these skirmishes, has in fact upgraded Warrior before Levi's been able to grab his jungle enchant. So quite a bit more stronger at this stage of the game, and they have to play respectfully because of that.
While you might be disappointed...
Oh, hang on. There's a big play bottom lane, Tegan. They're going to try and knock back the Tahm Kench. They don't. They kick him away from the hook as well. What the heck was that?
Levi's a fan of the dire walls, and we just saw it right there, didn't we?
Thank you, brother Levi. This is saving Destiny's life.
Now, touching back on it, I was going to say you might be disappointed in such a lack of blood in this game, but this is great for the Direwolves. We were saying before the game even started, they needed to scale, and that's what we're seeing right here.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the other thing we're seeing is that Chippies is not afraid of Archie at all. He's actually staying pretty greedily in lane at the moment. He's continuing to harass. Shern is around, although I think he's been spotted out by a ward that he will now clear up. And you can see that Chippy's just not all that bothered by what Gragas is bringing in the top lane. In fact, Gragas has had a couple of big shops, and Chippy's still just sticking around.
Let's see if it changes.
Optimus.
Ooh. Getting some good damage on towards Fantix here, who we have not actually checked in with this mid lane so far. Both of them just farming back and forth, it seems, with Fantix picking up a decent CS lead for himself.
Now, the problem with mid lane and expecting them to do anything but farm in this matchup is Corki is nigh ungankable from what Gigabyte Marines are bringing, unless you roam the threat. Anything but farm in this matchup is Corki is nigh ungankable from what Gigabyte Marines are bringing, unless you roam the Thresh up there and maybe even the Callista as well.
Yep.
So you're just going to see the same thing. He'll recall, he'll go back to base, he'll farm again. And the real change is going to be when Fantix picks up and goes to side lanes. It's not going to happen in the mid lane.
No, it certainly isn't. And the big thing there is the fact that Corki doesn't expend as much mana to push out, can just use auto attacks and rockets once the Sheen is picked up. So really blue buff reliant lane here for Optimus to be able to match that shove as well as all the harass that's going to come out. But little bit of a gank set up here. You can see that they've caught out Optimus, or maybe they've caught out Destiny.
Destiny taking quite a bit of damage here. Still has the great health available, moving towards the safety of his turret. Will finally pop it, but there's 4 members of Gigabyte Marines behind this Direwolves turret, which is at half health. King trying to fend them off. There are teleports coming down. Fantix is right behind. Levi has somehow picked up first blood onto Destiny during this time. All of them using the blast current at the same time, trying to chase down Fantix. Saya's trying to close in as close as possible, but still they pick up a single kill onto the support and back out.
I actually didn't even see how that first blood went across. It must have just been an errant Q that hit him. A little bit of sloppy play there from Destiny to fall down after they had done so well to repel that gank. You felt that if they had have survived that, no first blood going over to Levi, this was actually a very promising early game for the Direwolves.
Even giving away that first blood, which, like you said, is sloppy, Direwolves are only down 200 gold, and I think that's a testament to how well they've been playing. They've been passive, they've just been farming up. Very, very unlike the Direwolves that we're expecting to be this aggressive, to be this greedy team.
Yeah, and I think that the big thing here is now how do the Gigabyte Marines respond, Fish? What's the next move for them? Because they're going to be getting towards one item spikes. In fact, they have it in the AD carry position. They have it in the mid lane position as well as the jungle item. They've got the Moby boots on onto Thresh. Is this when we start seeing lane swaps? Is there even more pressure coming down into that bottom lane as we take another look at this replay?
Yeah, let's see how Levi picked up this kill. Seems like he was just able to tag out Destiny at the end of this fight.
Potentially, I mean, here we'll go right here. Levi just turns around. Does he throw a cheeky Q? He actually follows up with it and still is able to pick it up because King had to flash, worried about the kick, of course, into the rest of the squad. So great move there out of the jungler of the Gigabyte Marines.
And he's going for another one in the bottom lane. You can see Destiny has eaten up King, but he tags him, knocks him back, gets 1 kill. Now looking for the Catfish himself. 3 members of Gigabyte Marines surround the bottom lane of the Direwolves, and they pick up 2 kills.
That's what you do. Whenever you gank a lane, you blow flashes, you go again.
But they look for top lane as well. Archie in so much trouble. We'll find out next time if he's going to fall. Flashes away, tries to style on them. Shernfire will take quite a bit of damage from the turrets, but walks away. It's trading bot lane for top lane.
And you can see that the map has been divided in half. A very strong level 6 achieved out of... Oh, Direwolves, come on, give me a shot here. Sandix goes a little bit aggressive. Level 6 achieved for the bottom lane means that they're able to go aggressive on the top side of the map. Now that Callista's picked up... Fiora's picked up a Tiamat, should be able to continue to bully around Archie as we get another pinwheel and just checking out whether we can get back into this game.
Yeah, hopefully be able to get back into this game shortly. Unfortunately, guys, we have been having some technical difficulties.
Some. I watched the League of Legends game via PowerPoint so far, Fish. This is...
it's been great.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
It's been an experience.
I'm learning a new skill set right now, which is how to cast a game.
It just gives you more time to sort of... I don't know how to say it, but get on a I was going to say get on a soapbox because that's essentially what we're doing.
Look, I'm just waiting for wacky transitions and clip art to start showing up. Then I'll be really excited for this match. But so far, just classic games of League of Legends. We are getting back into the game. There's still a little bit of choppiness, but hopefully that will be resolved as soon as we possibly can.
Do you know one time I was playing a game on an SEA server, Fish, and a shark went through the pipe between... Vietnam and Oceania. I'm telling you, this is no word of a lie. So I couldn't even connect to the game server. However, it looks a little bit clearer now.
So the reason why I know this is true because I was casting the GPL and they were playing out of Vietnam and they had to postponed the games because of that exact reason. The Shark bit through the underwater sea cable that connected Vietnam to the rest of Southeast Asia in terms of internets.
Yep, very interesting. However, Fantix with his first package of the game, see whether he's able to make a play towards the side lane. You can see the top is pretty extended. They have a Tahm Kench as well as a Rek'Sai already up there.
I mean, previously we used to see a lot of teams use the package to coincide with Dragon timings, and Dragon is now live for these two teams, but instead Direwolves are focusing on the Rift Herald after its recent changes.
But this is going to be a team fight because you can already see top laners are teleporting in. Pinwheel again. We'll see whether Chippies follows up next time.
This is too much suspense. I don't know how to take this. What's going to happen? Who's going to win this team fight, Spawn? Tell us.
I do not know. I mean, when you have the package, you generally don't want to fight against that. But as I said, you would have to expect that Kalista, Thresh, Gragas, all that utility that's going to come out of the Gigabyte Marines team comp should be able to disrupt a lot of the damage dealers that's going to come out of Direwolf. So this should be a close one.
The problem with having package here is he's going to have to dive into Gigabyte's blue side jungle to make use of it. And I don't see him doing that.
Well, apparently he did, and we're still going with the fight.
Yeah, so they got a hook on towards Chippies there. You can already see it's 5-2 to Gigabyte Marines, but somehow they've lost Archie as well, waiting for the scoreboard to be pulled up so we can see who has a Rift Herald. No, it's still standing in the pit.
I mean, that looked like a big team fight. 5-2 was not what I expected. You can see 2 kills onto Chippies. The split pusher is well and truly going to be going. Kalista as well as Elise Sin have got all the gold on the side of the Gigabyte Marine. So 1,000 gold lead over them. As you said, Rift Herald's still available, so we'll live out the rest of our life in relative peace for the next 3 minutes, you have to expect.
Hopefully. These teams can be quite brutal. So let's see if they decide to take it down later on in the match.
I'd say the most important part of that fight that we unfortunately missed is Chippies picking up kills. We're talking about them being passive and them wanting to scale. This is just going to make it harder and harder for Gigabytes to get active before Fiora is able to just run down a side lane and do whatever she wants.
Yeah, already you would have to think as soon as that second items of the Black Cleaver or potentially Trinity Force, as we've seen Chippies pick up a little bit more frequently now, is going to be a spot where you have to take multiple members towards that lane. Although now with Levi heading in and Archie burning the ultimate, see whether there is going to be a fight.
Good parry from Chippies, but now it's down. At least it is in this bottom lane. Chippies will be permanently slowed by this combo. He tries to turn around onto Levi.
Fantix.
Top lane, though. Fantix has got a kill on towards the support of Gigabyte Marines, and No Way will fall as well.
Chippies is still going.
Somehow still alive against this duo, trying to fight both of them. 2-on-1, sliding his way away if he can. Body bot will come through from Archie. Doesn't connect. He dodges the Q, looks for the parry, gets some vital procs, but it's not going to be enough. Eventually, the top laner for the Direwolves will fall.
But that is perfect out of Chippies. He wasted so much time. As Fiora, this is half of your job, to have pressure in the split push, to be able to control the side of the map. They trade 2 for 1. They get that gold lead back very close, and they're going to be able to pick up this Rift Herald before it despawns. That's kind of a turret you have saved up in the bank, Tegan.
Surviving that long in a 1v2 on the weak side of the map when your team's doing something opposite just shouldn't happen. It's as simple as that. Doing what he just did should never happen. And it's giving Direwolves Rift Herald, it's giving them priority in the top lane. They trade away that dragon. They don't even care at that point. They're just happy everything worked out as it did.
And the other big thing is Archie didn't get the kill. So it's not like he's giving a maximum gold over to his direct lane opponent. Still going to be able to win that 1v1 quite handily. And it does look like it is going to be, for the first time in a long time, a Black Cleaver picked up, probably because of all the armor that's being picked up on Archie. You would have to think Trinity first versus carry and Black Cleaver versus tanks. Maybe I'm just crazy.
I have a question for you. Do you think taking Rift Herald on Tahm was deliberate?
I'm going to say no.
That's gotta hurt if it's not deliberate. But as far as supports go, putting it on Tahm isn't bad.
Archie actually roams down, goes for King, gets eaten up a little bit there, Fish.
Yep, not able to use the ultimate effectively, but Gigabyte Marines get what they came for, which is the mid lane outer turret, so 1-for-1 trade in turrets at the moment.
I mean, I'm trying to think of reasons they would do it. Maybe Shern wants his sweeper to be able to continue to play aggressive, and they think that with Tracker's Knife and upgraded Sightstone already, they're in a position to be able to make this work. Also, the fact that Destiny can go to a side lane, help out a gank, and then drop Rift Herald afterwards, although he's just dropped it mid.
Let's see if they use it effectively. Meanwhile, Shernfire has been caught out. Pops his ultimate on towards the Thresh. Fantix has joined the fight as well. No Way will pull Thresh back to safety, who returns the favor with a Dark Passage. This has allowed Destiny to pick up that turret mid lane.
So before we saw all of that happen mid lane, Gigabytes taking the Direwolves tower, we saw Gigabytes invading and taking away the blue of Fantix. And I think that's something we do need to highlight because it will hurt Fantix's ability to just shove out lanes. We said before that he can push without using his mana, but he pushes a heck of a lot faster while using mana.
Yeah, and I think that the thing about Corki is he pushes better offensively than he does defensively. Still relatively short range for an AD carry. Definitely doesn't have the range to match out the Victor laser when it comes to defensive wave clear. So does need to be a little bit more careful in that regard. And you can see that this map is pretty still well balanced. Gigabyte Marines have the early lead. We expected that out of their team comp. However, still don't really have a way to be able to deal with the Fiora. Or continually chuck barrels at her might be the case.
Yeah, this time Archie's able to get the knockback. No parry coming out from Chippies, and Levi's making a return. A gank?
I mean, how much longer can he continue to do this for? Because there is good Baron taking potential on the side of the Direwolves. And, does he get it?
They're going for it. Gets a parry, but still gets taken down by Levi eventually. So Gigabyte Marines get the pick in the bottom lane. Yeah, against the split pusher.
There's only a certain amount of time that works, because if that happens at 28 minutes, all of a sudden, Direwolves turn around, they just start up the Baron. You have to abandon the gank very early. They still have engagement tools coming out of Destiny, coming out of Schönfire. So maybe for the next 5-10 minutes, Gigabyte Marines can continue to attack Chippies, but unfortunately after that, Archie's on his own.
There was also a point where Direwolves could have rotated down there. They could have burnt the Tarm ultimate and got down there with Tarm and Caitlyn or Tarm and Corki, some sort of combination of people, and countered that. So I'm curious if they just didn't understand what was happening as fast as it did.
Yeah, maybe that could be the case. You can see Levi still looking for a potential kick play here. King is waiting a little bit further back. We'll go for the double Energizer build. It looks like picking up Static Shiv first. Fantic still with the package. It's pretty much impossible to gank. Package takes priority over Hook, I believe. So either side just goes for a big journey. Tom Kensholt actually coming in here. Archie in trouble.
Looking to try and collapse on towards the Gragas. Chippies is still chasing down. There's Destiny. We'll be able to lock down Archie. Goes in for a big body bop, but not able to separate the team. Traps being placed down by King. Finally lands one onto Archie, and Chippies will get a kill in the bottom lane.
Yeah, what do they lose for this, however? Because you can see top lane already being pushed. Shern and Fantix are going to be in that mid lane together. We'll see whether they just leave Chippies to try and take out bottom lane turret. And you can see vision for both teams actually pretty poor at this stage of the game.
Direwolves looking like they want to try and collapse, but immediately recalls being thrown out by the rest of Gigabyte Marines, who get that top lane outer turret. Should still have Chippies pushing in the bottom lane, I believe.
Yeah, Chippies will definitely get the bottom tower and make it a trade. But I'm curious, we look at Direwolves as a team, it feels like they should be pushing towers faster than Gigabyte are, but it seems like every time we see something happen, Gigabyte to take a tower and then Direwolves answer. I would prefer to see Direwolves being the proactive one in that trade.
Yeah, especially at this stage of the game. I mean, Caitlyn has got her tools to be able to set up now, is going to be sitting towards that 70% crit, has the ability to set up max range traps as well at level 12. So King should certainly be coming into a power spike. No way in a team fight, still going to have that consistent damage that Kalista is very famous for, and the ability to secure objectives. So should be a back and forth trade.
I'm glad you brought up Caitlyn traps, because that's one thing I've been critical of most Oceanic teams is when they pick up Caitlyn, their traps are really lackluster. So if there's anyone I'm going to look for to see them place them well and utilize them, it's going to be King. And I expect him to start doing that in the next few levels when they start sieging up towers.
He's able to do so quite effectively in that bottom lane fight. Now has Infinity Edge as well as that Static Shiv, looking for Rapid Fire Cannon next. In the mid lane, Fantix already picked up his Rapid Fire Cannon to go with the Trinity Force pickup for Corki, so big item power spike for him.
Knight's Vow picked up by the jungler. Normally a support item. T-Gun, of course, has been given cooldown reduction. Makes it a little bit better of a rush item, as well as the fact that they've definitely got two big carries that they want to keep alive in Fantix and King in teamfight. So wouldn't even be surprised if we saw Destiny go towards his own.
Yeah, if I was Destiny and I was going to pick it up, it would be after I get the Locket as well, because it does also give health, which, of course, Locket now is scaling great with it, and health scaling great on Time Can. So he could end up with something like Locket into Knight's Vow, into something as obscene as a Gargoyle Stoneplate.
Schönfire's put his Knight's Vow on towards Fantix as well, so we'll have to see how effective that is on the mid lane champion.
I mean, at this stage of the game, Fantix definitely does more damage. He's level 15. He's going to get rank 3 ulti quite soon. He's also quite a little bit more melee, short range than what King is, so he's going to have to play a lot more aggressive in these team fights. So putting on the Knight's Vow towards him makes sense. You can see that they've done a pretty good... Oh, I can hear!
Yeah, we can hear things, and there's a fight going to take place straight away. Direwolves trying to kite back. Their first target is a Thresh. Schönfire Surefire has been forced to be eaten up by Destiny and spat back out for this fight. Archie's now going to try and turn this one around. Good traps by King, locks down Levi, who tries to escape. Direwolves get positioning on the mid lane and try to push it straight down.
It's so much easier to cast when you have volume, and at the same time, teleport burnt out of Archie, and they still lose the team fight. You can see that now Destiny's still roaming in there.
Still finding Chaos Storm being used by Optimus. Big separation of the cast. Optimus gets one kill on the support of the Direwolves. Low health bars for Chippies and Surefire.
Ooh,
big flash play from Sire. Going to connect the death sentence. He jukes them out. He gets King. Fantix is going to go down as well. Gigabyte Marines are slowly wiping this team fight.
And as the sound comes back, gone is the hopes that Direwolves are going to pick up anything in this mid game. Gigabyte Marines performed perfectly in that team fight. It looked like Direwolves were in a little bit of two minds. They enter the jungle, straight away Gigabyte Marines powers, and they pick up so much off the back end.
Like you were saying, they're in two minds. Half the team's going into the jungle to fight, half the team's on the tower. I think they should have all been on the tower. Why are you chasing into a choke when you have a team comp that wants to skirmish and poke from range? While Gigabyte look like they have a team comp that would love to fight in those chokes.
Yeah, exactly right. You can see that No Way was able to put out a lot of damage, can't complement Levi enough, able to nail the Q and get the insect onto King that guaranteed his death as well. I mean, across the board, they just outplayed mechanically Fish, and this is something that we've come to expect out of the Southeast Asian teams.
Yeah, hopefully be able to get to see that flash play into Hook on King instead of Destiny as well coming. Sorry, instead of Fantix as well coming from side, because that was fantastic to watch. Direwolves on the back of that lose 2 turrets and their mid lane inhibitor. Now they're looking to try and see if they can move towards the Baron Pit. There is package available for Fantix. They started up straight away.
I mean, this is desperation time, T-Gun.
I don't like this play. This is, like you said, desperation, and I think they're going to get punished for it.
It is very low. They're going to try and finish a big gravity field. Hook lands onto Fantix, and everyone from Gigabyte Marines piles on in. Big package used by Fantix. Everyone from Gigabyte is standing on top of it, but they say, thank you for the Baron. Let's see if you can steal this one back away from us. They can't. Levi secures it. They only lose their top lane, and they get 2 kills for it as well.
Yeah, and still a winning trade going over for the Southeast Asian region. I mean, such a good team fight. Direwolves thought the shops would be coming out. They don't. They stagger the bases. Levi was able to make it back, and that is pretty much lights out. I mean, now you've got a 5,000 gold lead. Now you have Baron as well as that exposed inhibitor in the mid lane. They're going to look to just continue to push in, continue to pick up turrets.
We're talking about the strength of Gigabyte, especially after the Baron, but we can't count out Direwolves. They have a strong Fiora. They have the ability to split push and stall wherever the Fiora isn't. That's what they need to do here. They need the Fiora to go off on her own and let the rest of Direwolves defend on towers.
Yeah, they need a turtle up Fish.
They
I mean, that's what it comes down to. They need Fantix and King to be able to set down traps, be able to get good wave clear going, and just be able to stall out this game. But unfortunately, I mean, with all of the assists and the gold that's gone over to Archie, he's caught up in levels. He's absolutely fine in items as well. This is not an easy game for them to be able to do that in.
Yep.
That being an Ocean Drake was pretty lucky for Direwolves. I know whenever you take a dragon, you're happy. But from Direwolves' perspective, if that's an Infernal or if that's a Mountain, that is much worse than Ocean, because most of these fights are so explosive, they don't get a lot of use out of the regeneration.
Especially if they're fights that the Gigabyte Marines are looking to win, just because of the fact that, you know, all the upfront damage that's going to come out of Optimus, Levi and Archie both looking for high impact ultimates. So certainly agree, team fighting Dragon in the Infernal is always the best. You can see that once again chasing out Chippies.
I mean, Direwolves at the moment have to go up against a 6,000 gold deficit Gigabyte Marines have gathered for themselves, and they're working against Baron buff, which will be live for the next 2 minutes or so. Good news story for them is Gragas does not have Baron buff, so he can't split push as effectively as he would like.
I mean, I think Gragas at this stage of the game just wants to team fight. If we're getting realistic, you can see traps are out. It's going to be hard to approach the turret, but at the same time, Siege is going to continue. Any more of those Qs start landing, you have to worry about Levi flying into your backline as well.
Let's see if he is able to do just that. Seems like Baron buff may have expired already.
No, still there.
No,
You
still
see
there.
the little purple dots that
Little
are going
purple
around
dots.
the champions.
A little bit blind here. Unfortunate.
This is a difficult spot for Gigabyte. You can push in the lane, but how do you walk past Caitlyn traps? They did the right thing. They went to the lane that Fiora was in, but you can see they just can't get across that choke.
Levi going in on top of Chippy's, dashes back out. That's a gutsy play if I've ever seen one. And now they rotate down to the bottom lane. This turret already taken quite a bit of damage. There goes Saya. Double flash play with the box. Chaos Storm and everything being dumped onto the Oceanic lineup. Triple kill. quadra kill picked up by Callista. Looking for a penta kill. He is going to be able to pick it up in the first game of Rift Rivals.
I mean, it's not a penta, it's only a quadra. Chippies is still alive in the fountain. Come on, Fish. Pull it together, mate. He's now teleported to a side lane just to deny that. But still, your point stands. Gigabyte Marines are going to pick up the first game.
They will be able to pick it up against the Direwolves. The first seed from the GPL getting their win in their home crowd and in fantastic fashion as well. From what was an even game, just suddenly broke down right